an ugly system set up with our elected officials, and we need to clean that up. And I think this is like a glaring example. And when people showcase that they are upset about it, and I'm not just talking about just media figures, when I'm talking about like the people like, if Trump feels like his constituents are pissed about this, he will back off because he listens to what they care about.
In this video, we join Andrew Schulz and Charlamagne in their podcast, Brilliant Idiots. While Andrew Schulz continues to say that he's not defending Donald Trump while his co-hosts trash him, he continues to do just that. With that, let's watch Andrew Schulz educate his co-hosts on the reality of how Donald Trump is doing in office.
Here's the thing. I just want to know, are we in a post-constitutional society? Does the Constitution matter or does it not?
We're on the edge.
I think it's very scary. A week ago, last Sunday, when I'm watching the news and I'm just watching, I'm watching Meet the President. I just see him say he doesn't know if he needs to uphold the Constitution. It's like,
what's the context?
They were talking about the deportation stuff. And he was like, I don't know if I have to uphold the Constitution. And so then she asked him again, is it the president's job to uphold the Constitution? He's like, I don't know.
Listen, he has to realize that saying a statement like that is incredibly dangerous. So he could go, well, I didn't exactly mean it like that. The reality is, it doesn't exactly matter how you meant it. You said a statement that people are going to not need to look into the intention or context of. You shouldn't say, I don't need to uphold the Constitution.
And he said it before on the campaign trail. He was like, no, this was the 2020. Terminate the Constitution, overthrow the results of the election.
It's just I mean, look, as someone who's followed politics for 40 years very closely, if any president had said anything even hinting at that in the past, it's over.
That's what I'm saying. Who cares?
It's a disqualifying event. You're out.
You know what I have faith in?
True, because they did it. Like Lincoln did it. FDR did it. So it's like, whether you say it or not,
well, you would say FDR did it in wartime, right?
So it's okay then?
Well, I don't think it's okay, but that would be the argument. And what Trump is saying right now is within the context of illegal immigration. And I'm sure that's how he would frame it. What I'm saying is...
This plane shit ain't in the context of nothing other than...
Yeah, but what I'm saying is with him, he's always testing just to see what he can get away with.
Yeah.
Let me try that. Oh, yeah. No pushback? All right, let me go 4 more steps. This is why it's so dangerous. This is why you have to keep bitching and yelling. This is why people have to keep saying stuff.
I will say this, though. Situations like this give me faith in people. And I tell you why. I don't have the faith in the government, but I have faith in people. When I see Ben Shapiro speaking out about this, when I see Candace Owens speaking out about this, when I see the Rogan speaking
I even gave that woman props. She spoke out.
Nikki, who?
God, I can't stand
when I see Nikki
Lomer.
Laura spoke out about this. Like, that to me is real Americans who care about the Constitution,
as you should,
who care about their president following the Constitution, who also don't want their president taking what they think are perceived bribes.
100%.
And to Chris's point,
what these guys are hearing is just not how I heard what Donald Trump said. They said essentially, do you need to uphold the Constitution with regard to illegal immigration? Meaning, how can we have 10 or 20 million hearings or trials for all the people that we need to deport out of this country? So essentially, Donald Trump wants to be able to do large-scale deportation. He said, I don't know, because he didn't want to give a definitive answer. He deferred to his attorneys. He wasn't saying, I don't know if I need to hold up the Constitution, but he was essentially saying, are you telling me the Constitution is set up so that I can't deport people that another president let in here legally? That's the argument. And these activist judges are doing everything they can, along with the Democrats, to put hurdles in his way to get his job done. And this one idiot is like, he'll keep stretching it and stretching it. That's why you take things to the Supreme Court. You should test the Constitution. You should test its limits. That's within the law as well. Donald Trump has said again and again, he will abide by the Supreme Court's decision. That's it. And I didn't know Candace Owens or Ben Shapiro or Laura Loomer were saying all this stuff. The Constitution is the bedrock of this country. And I take the Constitution at its word. So I understand their argument. But Donald Trump is trying to do what the people elected him to do, which is get as many illegal immigrants out of this country as we can. We are in a crisis, an identity crisis. I genuinely fear that if we don't keep the border locked down and don't continue deportations, the United States won't have an identity anymore. It won't have a culture of its own that everyone can unite under. Every other country on the planet does. But when you let in a ton of people that are unvetted, they're not required whatsoever to assimilate to our culture, things don't go well. I don't want to turn into the UK. Anyway, let's get back to
We were talking about last week. How do we know that this shit can't just fall out the sky whenever they wanted to?
What does that mean?
The plane.
They gave them a plane. They might.
yeah.
Yo,
It's like, oh, you're stupid if you turn down a gift. Tell that to the Trojans. All right,
Yeah.
because
Well, not the Trojans, but
I mean,
yeah.
well, the Trojans got the gift from the Greeks. He's getting the gift from the Greeks.
Oh, I thought the Trojans were in the horse. That's why it's the Trojan horse was gifted.
No, I thought the Trojans controlled Troy,
Yeah.
and the Greeks gave the horse,
Oh, wow.
and then they were hiding inside the horse. There's also a chance I completely reversed that, but regardless,
Right.
they're giving him the shit. The best case scenario is it's a bribe for policy.
Yeah.
The worst case
That's the
scenario
best
is the
case.
same people who fund organizations like Hamas and
Right.
other terrorist organizations.
Which
just
is
gave
also
you-
why Shapiro and Lomas are so.
Well, that's why
against it.
Shapiro cares
Yeah,
about
I
it. He
mean,
doesn't give a fuck for any
know,
other reason
I know.
besides the fact that Qatar is, it's like,
Back to the original question. Is this good for President Trump? Is it good for his agenda? Is it good for draining the swamp and getting things done? The answer is no, it isn't. It isn't. If you want President Trump to succeed, this kind of skeezy stuff needs to stop.
that's the thing. It's like, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's like sometimes you're going to agree with somebody on something, like, which I absolutely agree. You should not be accepting it. You shouldn't set a precedent that we just accept gifts and that you could potentially get influence for that. Now, we need to make sure that we do this with all forms of government, like when these corporations and these pharmaceutical companies do the exact same thing with every single senator and congressman. To a lesser extent, they are also bribing them, right? They're in the pockets. We make this criticism all the time. So, like, we have an ugly system set up with our elected officials, and we need to clean that up. And I think this is like a glaring example. And when people showcase that they are upset about it, and I'm not just talking about just media figures. When I'm talking about like the people like, if Trump feels like his constituents are pissed about this, he will back off because he listens to what they care about. If he goes, my people don't really care, he won't. But if his people are pissed, he will back off. And I think that's an important thing to understand about Trump. It's
the tariffs, he kind of held fast, and everybody, left, right, center, were all saying this is a bad idea. Stop this.
I actually
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
don't think.
Nah, he didn't hold fast.
No. I don't think left, right, center. So I think that a lot of like rich media figures were saying it because they were basically like looking at their portfolios and seeing that the stocks were dipping. And I think that like the working class Americans that were supporting Trump were like, I don't have money invested in the market. I don't give a fuck if those rich people lose money. What I want is manufacturing to come back over here. And he says manufacturing is going to come back here if we do this tariffs. And I don't think it lasted long enough for the shelves to be empty. If the shelves got empty, then you might see his people being pissed off. But the shelves didn't get empty. Inflation has gone down. And it looks like these other countries are starting to negotiate, and then
That's not what Trump cared for in that moment. What he cared about in that moment, the stock market crashing is what would make him move.
But I actually don't think he was that worried about that.
Oh, I do. I think because those are people he cares about.
I don't think he cares about them that much. I think that's the biggest illusion. I don't think he cares about them. I think
Charlamagne could not be less correct. It's so disappointing. Wall Street is one of the groups that was pressuring Trump to take the tariffs off after he put them on there. If that's who he cares about and that's who he's trying to serve, the billionaires and the rich people, all he did was piss them off with all this tariff stuff and continues to during these trade negotiations because there's still volatility in the market. So it just blows my mind that there's so much evidence right in front of your eyes that Trump is not doing this to get rich. He's already rich. He left office last time with less money than he went in with. He doesn't take a presidential salary. Stop saying he's trying to get everyone rich. Stop saying he's just trying to make billionaires rich or placate billionaires. Why? He doesn't need to get reelected. He's made plenty of moves that have pissed the billionaires off. People that supported him to be elected were on the same networks complaining about him. But Andrew's 100% right. He understood the long-term benefit of the tariffs, and the people that were complaining the most were the Wall Street people and about the stock market. So that's why I say Charlamagne couldn't be more wrong. He was clearly listening to his constituents, not a bunch of billionaires. Anyway, let's wrap up the video.
Here's the thing, you might be right, because he damn sure don't care about the common man either, the working man. You know who Trump cares about? The Trumps.
Okay.
That's who he cares about.
I'm not even sure he cares about them, to be honest. He cares about Trump.
I think in order for him to maintain power, he needs support. And as long as his supporters support him and there's enough of him for him to continue his agenda, he will continue to go down the path that maintains that support. Once he feels...
Why does he still need people to support him?
Well, because you got to win the midterms so you can continue to control Congress. And you want to, in my estimation, if you want to exact this change in America, you want that legacy to continue after you. And there's one version where I'm sure a lot of people look at, oh, he just cares about him, and after 4 years, he's fucking done. I think there's another version where he's like, I do think that America is in disadvantageous trade relationships with other countries where we're being taken advantage of. I do think that there are too many foreign wars that we're supporting. And I think that we can have a better country and better standing in the world if we change those up. And I personally think he is trying to do that.
This conversation really disappointed me, especially Charlamagne, because Andrew is 100% right about everything he's saying. I truly believe that. If Donald Trump just didn't care, like they said, because he'll be out of there, what are you talking about? Why would he do anything drastic? Wouldn't he just kiss everyone's ass and try to say whatever he thinks people want to hear so people will like him more? It's so dumb. He's making very drastic moves and coming in like a bull in a china shop. He's got a limited amount of time to turn this country around. But we want to hear from you. What do you all think about this conversation between Andrew Schulz and Charlamagne about Trump? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you in the next one.